Welcome coaching staff and thank you for attending this presentation. ACL injuries are a great cost in football, both in financial cost paying for the time spent on the sideline and in the recovery room, as well as an opportunity cost as athletes are unable to positively impact the performance and consequently results. ACL injuries also negatively impact the performance of players. These figures on return to action illustrate that athletes who incur an ACL injury are unlikely to return to the same level they were prior to the injury. As the strength and conditioning department, we have an aim to minimise the risk of ACL injuries through the introduction of an injury prevention program, and we'll be running through this today. The recurrence of ACL injuries is also a great cost on football clubs. This financial cost, as explained before, is quite substantial. However, it also has a compounding effect of athletes who suffer ACL injuries are at risk of acquiring an injury to a different area due to ineffective return to play procedures. Consequently, a return to play program has been devised according to the characteristics of this club to minimise the risk of this. As we can see in the video, ACL injuries typically occur at the point when the foot is being planted with simultaneous low knee flexion angle, knee joint rotation and valgus collapse. This puts the ACL under high levels of stress due to the force moving through it, causing a tear or rupture. This action is most commonly seen when athletes are changing direction whilst running, or more specifically, when executing a sidestep cutting maneuver. Within football, contact ACL injuries are also a great risk, in particular when legs come together during tackles and slide tackles. The following section will outline the key risk factors associated with ACL injuries, as we find the target areas that the program will be aiming to minimise. The first key risk factor is knee joint laxity. This emphasises the importance of stability at the knee joint to prevent non-contact ACL injuries. The second key factor is body composition, or more specifically, height, body mass and BMI. Higher BMI readings generate higher strain through the knee and enhance the effect when an athlete experiences a twisting movement going through the ACL as explained earlier. Thirdly, knee extensor moments can contribute to non-contact ACL injury risk. Consequently, knee joint strength balance is extremely important in minimising this risk. Finally, neuromuscular control is a well-researched area associated with the prevention of ACL injuries. The key outcome from these studies found that proprioceptive acuity is very important for switching on the hamstrings before foot strike for safer landings. When skill is required, as is the case in football, the proprioceptive acuity may become compromised and the ability to switch on the hamstrings before foot contact can decline. The following case studies were reviewed among other areas of research in order to arrive to the injury prevention program and return to play programs to be implemented within the club. Donnelly and colleagues conducted a study that focused on ACL injury prevention specific to and detailed for non-contact ACL injuries. They found that the combined value of a framework containing plyometric, balance, resistance, and technique training was effective as a prevention framework in reducing the factors that are associated with ACL injuries. Schultz and colleagues conducted a study looking at the risk factors and prevention of ACL injuries and came to the conclusion that various injury prevention strategies that incorporate balance training, plyometric training, strength training, and technique advancement were effective in minimising risk factors. Similarly, Kay and Kelly found that poor balance and proprioception may contribute to increased ACL risk. Consequently, this study concluded that balance and proprioception training can be useful in preventing ACL injuries. And finally, Vescovi and Van Heest ascertained prevention programs of ACL injuries in female soccer players. They endured success in their research by implementing a program based on plyometric training, stretching, strength training, and agility. Consistent throughout all of the evidence is a necessity for the ACL injury prevention program to include plyometric training, balance training, technique training, and proprioceptive training. Whilst all of these forms of exercise cannot be implemented immediately, the gradual phasing through an effective program will ensure that coaches achieve player and coach buy-in before increasing the demands on the players. Similarly, we would like to collaborate with the technical department in formulating these kinds of exercises in a manner that can become both enjoyable for the players, but potentially also football related in some way. All of these forms of training can be conducted in a structure that does not require high amounts of financial cost, and so can be implemented immediately into the Central Coast Mariners football programs. Similarly, we suggest that education regarding ACL injuries begin for all athletes in regard to the prevention of injury, and this be filtered through the youth setup. Currently, the main gap in the literature for ACL injuries is the lack of conclusive evidence that the injury prevention strategies being implemented achieve a significant decrease in ACL injuries. Currently, the strategies are able to decrease ACL risk factors. However, there is limited literature that is able to identify a significant decrease in ACL injury incidences. This is difficult to achieve due to the amount of participants required to carry out a complete ACL injury prevention program. With this in mind, as a department, we are quite content with the level of evidence that is provided that the program we have created will have a significant impact on decreasing the athlete's risk of injury.